All right, we have the main PoChain account here as well. Um, Looks like we have plenty of people in the spaces already. Before we start, we'll just go over the format real quick. We will go over 10 questions from Twitter, then we'll open up the chat for the live ones, and everyone will get their chance to answer their questions. Guys, today's guests, could you please give us a brief introduction about yourselves, your role in the project, and yeah.
Good afternoon, morning, evening. I know people from different time zones. I'm Crypto James. I'm part of the team with PawSwap, and I'm here to do the ANA speaking and hosting for today. So looking forward to answering everyone's questions and speaking about the project. Thanks.
Great, great. Well, without further ado, let's hit it off with the questions. And the first one is, how does PoChain plan to attract Web2 and non-crypto users to its project? What strategy is in the works?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. So we have a few things, short-term and then long-term plan for attracting Web2 and non-crypto users into the space. I think in the short term, the main feature utility that we'll be releasing shortly is our on and off ramp for fiat to crypto, and that utility is coming out. And the reason I mention this one as important is because it simplifies new users coming in or new investors coming in and being able to go directly from their bank account into our platform and actually acquire crypto. So it's direct access. It simplifies that process without having to do multiple hops. The other part of that too that is important to us is the idea of self custody, so that is maintained by the investor throughout the whole process. So they're in control, and I think those are areas where we're going to be able to attract and advertise and bring in new investors, new users into the platform. The other thing to note with the fiat to crypto on and off ramp is that it will also have an aggregator service with it as well. So it's also going to look for the best place to actually get crypto. So going from your banking account to whatever cryptocurrency that you're moving to, it looks for the best path for that, so that you can get the most bang for your buck. We're using third parties currently, and however, in the future, we'll be licensed to do the on and off ramp services ourselves. So we'll be able to provide that service as well. That being said, the other things that may be a little bit more long term that will be released is our point of sale system, as well as PAW Merchant, where essentially we're going to be able to bring in vendors, merchants for e-commerce. So being able to have their own online presence and be able to transact in PAW, I think that also goes a long way in terms of bringing in new investors into the space.
Cool, fascinating. And I totally agree with you that making things simpler and just simplifying the ease of access definitely eliminates barriers to entry for the newbies, for the Web2 users, people who are unfamiliar with crypto. And when you can just input your card info and get the asset you want to start your crypto journey, it definitely helps to onboard large audiences.
100%.
All right, let's continue with the questions. Could you please mute yourself, because I think I am getting an echo from your mic or something. Cool. Yeah, continuing with the questions. Given the multi-chain nature of PAW, how can PAW DAO effectively manage liquidity across different chains and maintain price stability? What measures can be implemented to address potential price volatility challenges in this context?
Yeah, another great question. You guys came out with some some good ones, detailed ones as well. So I think if you look at what we've done so far, we've just passed our first DAO proposal a few days ago, where we'll be able to collect fees based on what utilities will be used, and as part of that collection, part of the fee structure goes to the buyback of PAW, and that proposal specifically takes buybacks where essentially we're buying PAW, and then we are basically going on to another chain and adding to a liquidity pool, and then we're burning the liquidity pool token so that they can't be pulled out. Um, and I think doing that cross chain will help with the price stability. Also, pairing up with other cryptocurrencies like USDT, stable coins, and things like that will also help with that. And we have some plans in the works for those types of things as well. One thing I will note is that the community through the DAO proposals will be able to also choose which liquidity pool chains that we would be moving to once we've hit a certain threshold in terms of fees that have been captured. All of that would be managed through the DAO. Additionally, so in terms of price arbitration, we will have a bridge, and that bridge is going to essentially be used to offset arbitrators to ensure the volume stays consistent and that the price is stable amongst other chains. So we're also considering employing a liquidity arbitration method where essentially a portion of the liquidity stays unlocked and mobile, and that we're able to move that liquidity across pools to make sure things stay stable as well. So I think we have a multi-pronged approach to essentially manage this in the future.
No, absolutely. It's a crucial part to maintaining the sort of price stability when you know, implying several chains, and it's definitely, thankfully, the mechanisms of burning and just making sure the liquidity pools are stable have been around for a while, and they've been proven to be working, right? So why invent anything that's not tested by time? But this is absolutely a crucial part, in my opinion. Just the stability across chain lines and the pairing with the stable coins. Definitely an interesting point that definitely should help in that regard.
Yeah, and the other thing too is it's important to point out that I think we're going just over 5 months into this project, so we're a relatively new project. So there are still things in the works, and specifically with liquidity pools that take time. So and certain features have to be built out within the product set to enable some of these things that we talked about. So we're getting there.
Wow, 5 months already. For some reason, I still feel that yellow power chain is like super fresh and just like very very new. But 5 months it's already a decent term in my opinion for the new crypto projects out there.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. If you think about it, there are other projects that have been around for multiple years that are decentralized exchanges that have very large volumes that have not invested back like this into these types of features. So it's in my opinion, it's impressive that the team has gotten so far in such a short period of time.
Absolutely. Well, segueing into the next question, what is the utility of the POL token? What are the benefits of long-term holding with POL token?
Sure. Yeah. So you have to look at pod token as the single token for everything within our ecosystem in the pod ecosystem. So what can you use PA for? Well, one, in order to vote in the DAO, you need PA. In order to submit a proposal, you need PA. So in terms of that portion for governance and community management type things, you're going to need PA to participate. Additionally, when our hybrid layer 2 gets released, it will be the gas token for our environment. So you will need pod to be able to participate um, in the ecosystem, essentially for transactions. So instead of using Ethereum for gas, you're going to be using pod for gas, which is going to be at a much lower price point in terms of the cost for gas. Additionally, adding to the layer 2, in order to participate as a delegator or validator, it's going to require that you provide PAW and lock a certain amount. And as part of that, you'll receive some sort of reward fee structure. We have not released that for both validators and delegators that participate in the layer 2, so that you're going to need POF to participate. And then in long term, holding as a delegator or a validator, depending on the path you choose, you're going to get rewarded, and there's going to be fee structures that are going to be awarded to those persons. Additionally, POS staking is still available and will be available even after the layer 2. Currently, the structure is if you lock PAW for 13 weeks, basically it's an 8% APR. For flex staking, which allows you to you don't have to lock, you can come in and out anytime, it's a 3% APR. If you hold off until the final version of PawChain, our layer 2 solution, is released, you get a bonus 12% APR on your lock stake. So those are just some examples of some of the benefits of long-term holding, as well as we all believe that the price is going to significantly increase over time. So holding for those reasons are the benefits, essentially.
Cool. So a true DAO is the whole array for the utility, for the holders, and for the potential investors and current investors, which is always great to see when a token has bunch of utility that you can grasp onto. What makes it a token, in my opinion. Because some tokens they are called so, but they don't really bring any utility, which kind of contradicts the definition or what it should be.
Yeah, we definitely embrace decentralization, and one of the examples of that is the fact that we decided to release public alpha, which gets the community involvement early on, feedback early on, so we can build the products that the community wants before we make decisions that are harder to change, right? So we definitely embrace that. The early release of the DAOs, again, another example of that. So we truly believe in the decentralized concepts for this project.
Cool. And Roy, you mentioned the alpha release, and let's continue with the question on the matter. What limitations or imperfections should users be aware when using PowerChain products during the public alpha release? What are the risks associated with using PowerChain products during the public alpha, and how can users mitigate those risks?
Great question. I've done a lot of testing on the platform, so this is kind of near and dear to my heart. So few things. Um, the it is public alpha as part of overall development life cycle it is expected that there's going to be bugs and problems. So when you're working in this environment, you need to ensure that you have that mindset, right? It's not going to be perfect. It's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to get early access. And when I say early access, I'm not saying that it's special access. It just means that early access in the sense that it's available soon, and not in a final state. But realize you're going to run into that. The other thing is that we are going through a CertiK audit on all our utilities, on all our code. So when something is in public alpha, it has not finalized its CertiK audit. It has more likely been submitted. It's going through the process, but it's not finalized. So realize that. My recommendation is if you're going to test or utilize any of the utilities in public alpha, that you use a clean new wallet and you limit the amount of funds that you put in that wallet so that you don't have any mistakes. Um, and the other thing I would say is go to our Discord, check our feedback for each of the utilities where we're logging enhancement requests and bugs, and be active because there are people that are logging these issues and providing enhancements, and you'll be able to see some of the issues and not be surprised. Also, participating helps because it gets us faster to an end result. So if you find a bug, we definitely appreciate you putting that on in the feedback in our Discord. Um, Lastly, also realize that the environment it's basically being updated and fixed in real time, so services can come up and down with public alpha. We will try to limit that. Obviously, we'll try to make sure that people are aware if there is a down cycle, but sometimes it's not possible to do it fast enough. So those are the things that just to be aware and be mindful of.
Great, great. And it's something you don't see very often, having something like those betas, alpha versions where it's available for everybody, it's not closed. And I think it's great. It provides sort of an extra layer of transparency for the users, for the investors, and they can actually see that what the project is doing, how it's developing, and actually can participate. Also, I have a question. No one has asked it, but do participants get any incentives for finding bugs or using the alpha extensively?
Um, there is a reward for participating in testing of the layer two. We explicitly called that out in one of the early mediums. So that one I am confident in. The other ones right now we have not put rewards for the other utilities as of right now. Doesn't mean that that won't change. And then obviously we can have DAO proposals to make that change as well, right? Um, but currently it's just for the layer two. Um, I also will say that participating in public alpha, if you're invested in PAW, is highly beneficial for your investment because it only benefits your investment the more quality the product is, right? The more tested and refined and has the feature sets that the community wants. So if you're finding bugs, if you're adding enhancements and we're improving the product, that's only going to help you with your own investment as well.
Oh, I love to hear that. That sort of self-employment type of situation where you invest and then you kind of do things to help your investment. I've seen many projects, lately. The good ones employ that sort of strategy, and in my opinion, it is a lot. It's very viable and very efficient because, right, investors who are interested in the projects are ultimately people who you want to be invested in your project, and it kind of drives the development, drives everything around. Love to
Yeah,
see those.
and the other thing too is there's a lot of projects that have, and I hate to say this negatively, it seems like vapor, meaning there's a lot of soons, but there's no evidence of things actually getting completed, even in a stage that people can just see that something's happening. So the other part of this is investor confidence to show that we have a pretty large team. We have over 60 developers working on a vast array of utilities right now. People want to see the work, even in a state that might not be 100%, right? And it gives them confidence. And there's also, at least within our community, there's a tremendous amount of people within the community that want something to do to help, and this gives them an avenue to assist.
No, absolutely, absolutely. It is definitely a win-win situation for everybody in this in this case, and over 60 developers. Wow, that's a huge team, to be honest. And those aren't just like volunteer investors; those are sort of employees, right?
They're not volunteers. It's a mix of resources that are doing the work. That does not include marketing, branding, moderators on our Discord, Telegram. That does not include that. That's just straight development teams.
Awesome, awesome. That's a solid team here. Uh, the amount of manpower is 6 people is a lot in my experience. Anyways, continuing on with the questions, PowChain is still in its early stages of launch. How would the developer team define PowChain? What are the plans they have for the future? Do they intend to adopt NFTs in their ecosystem?
Yeah, so I'll give you my perspective on Podchain and how I see it. So when I look at Podchain, because of the vast utilities that we're bringing to the community, I look at Podchain as an overall platform, a holistic ecosystem that comprises a multitude of features and utilities. And at the core of Podchain is the layer two, which is extremely important because of our abilities to go cross chain, our abilities to reduce the cost of transactions, and to secure the network. It is essentially going to be a hybrid layer two, which uses proof of authority, ZK, and proof of stake. So it is. I can't go into too much of the technical details because we don't want to um, give out too much information until we're ready to release. Because of its hybrid nature, we don't want people making assumptions on some of it. Um, but at the core of Podchain is the layer two, and then with that, we have features, utilities, products, right, that bolt on to that overall platform. So one of those would be Paw Club. Another one is going to be the DeFi loans, our point of sale solution, DeFi cards for like an ATM card type thing, cross chain bridge, which allows us to take WPaw, move it to other chains, and unwrap it, NFT marketplace, some of our e-commerce solutions that are going to be coming out. So all of these utilities, features make up, in my mind, PawChain as an overall platform. Um, Hopefully that makes sense. That's how I see it. And again, we're branding each of the utilities with specific names. But at the end of the day, PodChain is a set of these utilities, with the layer two being at the core.
That is very comprehensive. And right, I've heard zero knowledge, so there will be some privacy features enabled as well, right?
So in terms of privacy, we're doing as much as we can not to hold any user data that's outside of the blockchain. All right. So that being said, anything that has user data, again, we're going through SurTech audit for everything. So we're going to be required to maintain high security on that. Additionally, we are already working with regulatory groups within our team to ensure that we're not doing anything that could cause us problems in the future. Additionally, to that point, we're certain part of the product is we're integrating with partners that do have some of that regulatory compliance already, specifically like our fiat to crypto solutions. So, yeah, we're taking privacy and the regulatory stuff very seriously.
Absolutely. And these days you have to be very serious about those issues since it's a hot button problem for a lot of different projects, different exchanges, different aggregators, and just overall in the space.
100%. And I think we have some more questions about the DAO in a little bit. But that's why, no one really controls, no one entity or group controls our platform or PAW token. It's all community management, and it's all managed through the DAO, essentially. And it was built purposefully for that.
Yeah, that is great. Continue on with the questions. With the increasing number of the aggregators in the market, how does Chain differentiate its aggregator to ensure competitiveness and deliver superior outcomes for the users?
Yeah, so I think we mentioned this already, but I'll bring it up again. Community feedback at every stage of the lifecycle development. So we're building what our user base wants. So that's going to keep us competitive. It's also going to allow us to get there faster by getting that feedback quicker. Additionally, one of the unique solutions is that we're aggregating all existing aggregators into the core of the aggregator. So we're not just using our aggregator; we're using other aggregators in combination to come up with the best path, right, to purchase. So it looks at all the routes and the best path for a transaction. Additionally, we have other functions and integrations coming. So for example, our fiat on-ramp, off-ramp is going to have aggregator with that. Advanced trading features like limit orders, MEVBot protection to not get front run is in the works. And we have a lot of other features that are coming from the community feedback, and then also ones that were already planned in development.
Great, great. Yeah, I agree that feedback along the development process is definitely a huge point to ensure the competitiveness amongst other, because there are a lot of different DeFi aggregators currently, but I've seen them come and go. But definitely this approach can help the stability and ensure being viable within the space. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
We have several few questions left from Twitter, and then we'll open up the chat. Can you discuss the level of decentralization within Chain and the measures taken to ensure the decision-making power is distributed among community members rather than being centralized?
Yeah, definitely. So we've talked about it a few times now, but I'll say it again. The DAO, that's there for specifically to ensure decentralization. We made the decision to release it as soon as we could, so it's early in the process. Um, I've made the point, but I'll make it again. The DAO isn't going to control PA, right? The DAO is there to manage the PA ecosystem, right? Um, and the token has no controlling authority. Some people might look at it and say, well, the development team does. Well, the team that develops the utility is to increase the value of their specific investment. They don't own it, right? Additionally, they at some point within the next 18 months, the devs could walk away because essentially the products that are being developed are self-sufficient. So meaning once the development of the utilities is done, right, it's essentially it's back to the community to manage through the DAO. So if users decide or investors decide through proposals they want to get rid of the existing development team, they can push a proposal for that. All right. It's completely up to the community. And again, there's specific reasons around that. A, for decentralization. B, for some regulatory compliance pieces as well. And then again, another example of how we're looking at decentralization is this concept of opening up development even at an early stage for criticism. I don't know too many teams that are doing this, if any, at the stage that we are for feedback, and then taking that feedback and making changes. So hopefully that answers the question.
No, absolutely, and I think it's a um, very self-sufficient move to do so, to open up the things publicly. And if from an investor perspective, it's right. The project is showing its nature. Project is showing its intention, and it's open for the investors. Anyone can go and test it out that early. It's definitely something you don't see very often.
No, and I the other unique thing is I don't think you hear publicly groups saying, at a certain period of time when the utilities are done, the platform is handed over to the community, and if the community doesn't like what the dev team or wants to bring a new dev team in or whatever they decide, that they could basically replace them. Like, I don't know that you hear that in many projects,
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
that's true decentralization at the end of the day, right? Um, so I think it's an important concept to grasp. It's a hard concept to grasp, honestly. It takes a while for people to wrap their heads around that.
Well, the concept itself is pretty self-explanatory and intuitive. I think it can be hard for general public because it's not common. You don't see
Right.
that very often. I think that could be the only sort of reason why people are not expecting that. And that
Right.
kind of brings us to the next question: what specific improvements or changes have been made to the Powerchain platform based on the feedback received during the closed alpha testing phase?
Yeah. So far, one of the biggest feedbacks we've had is our website, our public facing website. So we have a completely new website that's being designed based on that feedback. So that is, we've taken that feedback, and we're moving forward with those changes. We've updated the staking UI multiple times due to the feedback. Some of the wording wasn't right. People had just suggestions on placement. Some of the flow of how the staking went from uh, you know uh, one place to another. We have a concept of restaking, and it was a little bit confusing when we first released it, and now we have a flow that better explains what's happening in that process. Um, we have plan changes for the aggregator UI. We've got a lot of feedback on that. We've already made changes on the Pod wallet. We've added some currencies for deposit. We had some bugs on the withdrawal, which we were able to resolve. So it is actively being developed. Now, that being said, you know, we can't do everything all at once, right? And we have to prioritize certain things. So bugs, severe bugs are probably going to take a priority over an enhancement, a complex enhancement. So there's nothing wrong with the system. We just want a new feature. So those types of things are being prioritized. We've logged them. We have them. Just realize some of that's going to take time, but we are actively taking that feedback and making changes.
No, this is great. Active development is the key to successful projects, in my opinion. And the last question from the Twitter, kind of a fun one. I wonder when will be the big announcement kicks for the Powerchain launch to start melting faces.
Well, I will come out and say I can't give any time frames on that, right? That's not what we're doing right now. That being said, we've already mentioned project 5 to 6 months old. We have released a few of the utilities. We've released staking, and then we have a lot of things in active development that we'll be releasing over the next few weeks. Um, and you know, we have a large team working. I a lot of these products had been in development already. So it's not like, they're starting from scratch 2 weeks ago on development. They've been in the works for some time. And then, the other thing to know, we can release in public alpha, but until CertTech does all the security auditing, we resolved any of the issues for a specific utility, and we've moved it into beta. We've gotten our score updated on CertTech and put into the bounty system, is when it will move through to its final stage, right, into fully production ready. But I'll say this: it's going to. I think, me personally, believe that it's going to be released much sooner than the community expects. So I'll leave it at that.
Cool, cool. Well, still seems like you guys have a lot done in just 5 months, which is already a big indicator that development won't stop. And yeah, just for everybody out there, just keep an eye what's going on, and we'll get all the answers. All right, let's move on to the live questions. I'll try to pick people who's been here first. Jason, adding you as a speaker. You've been around since the beginning.
Hey, Jason, you have a question? We can't hear you.
I think he's having some connection issues. Um, Let me mute him for now so he doesn't break in and get someone else in the chat. Tokyo has been here around since the beginning as well. Tokyo, you can speak now. You have to unmute yourself now.
Hello, hello. I'm audible. I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are. You can speak now.
My question is, how do you try and attract non-English speaking users and web two users? People who face language restrictions and people that aren't in this space, because there's still a lot of users that haven't joined blockchain.
So I think I want to summarize the question. I think we had this question earlier on around how do we get users, non-crypto users, investors, to come in and invest in the space, specifically in Podchain. Is that correct? Is that your question?
I think
Do you
part of
have
the
an
question.
ambassadors program? Do you have an ambassadors program?
We
I
don't
guess
have
you
an
guys have covered almost everything.
Yeah, so right now we don't have an ambassadors program that I'm aware of. We do have a marketing team, and we have strategies in which we are planning to market and brand the products and utilities as they get into a more mature space. Or that being said, I would get on our Discord, Twitter, and make those suggestions. If you have suggestions for ambassador programs or ambassadors that you want to bring into Podchain to assist the community, please let us know, and we will evaluate those.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Tokyo. All right, looks like Jason is woken up. Jason, adding you as a speaker again. Seems like he's having. Oh, you can speak now. Yep.
Okay, it's been a great space so far, I can say. So my first question is in regards to some of your partnerships. We all believe partnership is extremely important in moving a project forward. So, like, can you tell us basically on some of the projects you have partnered with, and also what projects are you looking to partner with in the future?
Okay, so I heard the first part, so I'll answer that. I broke up a little bit on the second part. So in terms of partnerships, let me let me tell you some of the things about the utilities that might not be clear to everyone. The utilities are not necessarily just PAW focused. So yes, with the aggregator, you can purchase PAW, but you can purchase um, a lot of crypto in our aggregator that's not PAW. It also goes across 14 chains. So that being said, we are already in some partnership conversations. I'm not going to go into the details of those or who they are, um, to work with other crypto projects because we believe in being inclusive, um, and bringing them into a partnership to utilize our utilities and do some associations with our utilities with those projects and having a partnership with them. So, and we're going to be doing more of that as we start opening up our e-commerce, our point of sale system, Palm Merchant, and bringing in partnerships and vendors with online stores to help with some of that as well. Hopefully that answers your question. I didn't get the last part. You broke up a little bit.
Yeah, you already answered it. So my second question is considering terms of regulations, like how do you tend to like sort out issues from regula countries' restrictions from individuals that might want to hold the power token?
Sure. So I can't get into too much of the legal aspects. What I can say is that from a regulatory perspective, the team has already taken into account a regulatory compliance in the utilities that we're releasing. And additionally, in areas, especially early on in our product development lifecycle, even though we might be building portions of the utility, we're also partnering with groups um, that have already have regulatory compliance with their service, and we would integrate with that service. A great example of that is with our fiat to crypto on and off ramping. We're utilizing other services that will help in connecting to the banks and the conversion. And those partners are already compliant, regulatory compliance. In terms of all the different countries, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to get back with the team. In terms of some of the things that have come out of the SEC, in terms of what's a security or not, I think we're in a pretty good standing there. Um, and part of that is because of the way that we've set up our DAO, and that it's a community managed project, and there is no owner of the PAW ecosystem or the PAW token. And again, that's that the situation is still evolving, so we'll have to see what happens. But we're definitely taking into account and making considerations for that.
All right. Thank you so much for the wonderful answers. I wish you success ahead. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Jason. All right, let's take a couple more. Let me know when how many more you want to take. We're still doing good on time, so
I'm here until you guys stop asking questions.
perfect. Well, yeah. Ash, adding you the speaker now. For some reason, people are slow to connect today. I guess Twitter is still a small and new project. Ash, you can speak now. Ash, you have to unmute yourself though. You are muted. I cannot unmute you myself, so you have to do it. Yep, there you go.
Hello, am I?
Try again. Almost there. Alright, I will add someone else meantime while Ash is figuring his device out.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, you are. You can ask your question while the next person is connecting.
Sure, thank you. So my question is that we have so many chains, L2s and L1s available now. So why do we need a POW chain? And can you tell what are the advantages and benefits of POW chains compared to other blockchain like Ethereum and BSC? Thanks.
Sure. So I'm not going to rehash everything that we talked about earlier. Because I think that shows the benefits. I will say that one of the things that makes us unique right now is we're multi-chain. So it definitely simplifies the overall experience. So we can go across BNB, Ethereum, Poly, and we're building towards inclusivity of all those chains. Not most projects, I don't think, are doing that, or there's a few that maybe have succeeded in that, but I don't know to the extent that we have. I also think, as I've already explained, our embrace of decentralization, our DAO, the way that we're handing over to the community after the utility development is over, the fact that we're building a holistic solution to satisfy your financial needs for crypto in the DeFi space. So from DeFi loans to cards to Paw Club, which is a social networking media interface with augmented reality, e-commerce, bunch of different things are going into that. Our aggregator solution, our bridging solution. These are things that, as a whole, make PawChain, the platform, extremely beneficial to their user base, reducing fees, simplifying, and bringing in a new experience on how you interact with crypto.
Cool. Thank you, Ash, for the question.
Yeah, thanks for the answer.
Bill, you can speak now. You are muted though. PLN, you have to unmute yourself if you want to ask your question.
Actually, I think all my questions have been answered by listening to the other questions.
That's great. Well, maybe you want to add something or comment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, to be honest with you, I'm just proud to be a part of this community early, and I plan on being around all the way to the end. I think they're doing a lot of great things that separate them from, obviously, other chains out there. So I'm just real excited. Bunch of good guys here. Sheba, Dez, been around with them. Ellen, all those guys been around since other investments that we've been involved in, and I followed them over here, and it's been actually exciting for me, and it's got me, loving what I'm doing, staking. It's just an amazing group, amazing chain coming. I'm just really excited.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Great, Bill. All right, let's take a couple more questions, and I think we've been very comprehensive. And thank you, James, for answering. You know, very very comprehensively every question that comes in together. Angel, Julie, adding you as a speaker. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible. You can ask your question.
My question is, can you tell us about the team behind your project? What is the specialty of the team that makes them capable to build a project?
Sure. So there was an AMA about a month ago that I did with the lead developer Pakishi, and we go into some depth about the team, about their experience. So I highly encourage you to check that out. It's on the Podchain Instagram account, and you'll see the AMA there. That being said, we've already hinted at the fact that there's 60 plus developers within the team across 16 different teams. So that should also tell you about some of the things that we're looking at. There's teams, legal, regulatory compliance. There's teams for user experience, UI, and then all the different utilities. There's teams for security. So they've taken into account all the necessary pieces that are needed to build out a project of this magnitude. And there's also, with that comes a fairly significant investment with that amount of people power to build out this platform. That being said, Pakishi has mentioned that he has been in the space over, I believe, the last 8 to 5 years, I believe. He's been involved in numerous projects, of which have gained billion-dollar market caps. And the team that they've brought together are members that have been working with them across a lot of those projects as well. So they have a vast amount of resources at their hands from a people and skill set and a commitment. So for Pakishi, the sense that I got with him during that AMA, and he even said it, was this was a passion project. So they had worked. He had worked on lots of projects in the past for different cryptocurrencies, and the feeling that I got from it was that they had built out solutions and utilities for those projects, and they never went anywhere. And a lot of the projects were just for marketing, meme coins, and they were, in certain cases, not able to see the full potential of the work that they were doing in the space. So part of what they were looking at this time was to um, build out a project that they had the ability to be impactful, right? To build out the utilities that they thought would be good for the community, and to really see the true vision of decentralization. But again, I could talk about it for a while. I don't want to get into specifics because there is another AMA on that, so I would direct you towards that. But they definitely have the skill sets, and they've been in the space, and they've been working in the space for some time. And I apologize. I think I said Instagram. I meant our Twitter account, which is Podchain is our main account, and you'll be able to see the AMA there. So please go to the Podchain Twitter account to see that AMA.
Great. Thank you for this answer, James. And yeah,
Thank you for their answering.
I think we've done it. Thank you for being very comprehensive and just elaborating on a lot of things about the project. I think we've done a lot of helpful information in here, and we will of course be posting the recap on YouTube shortly. So for those who miss out, we'll be able to catch up if they would want to. So yeah, look after that, and let's give the man a round of applause for this fascinating session.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I really thank StealthEX for giving us the opportunity to provide details about the project. You guys have been an amazing partner so far, so look forward to more partnership opportunities in the future.
Thank you, James, and thank you guys for the questions. Bye-bye, everybody.